Hey everybody, in this video we're going to fill the matting template that we created for the album with our pattern paper and with our photos. This is the really fun, exciting, creative part, so let's get into it. If you remember, we created the matting template for this album and I got you started. Here's a couple pages I did where the red boxes indicate where we're going to put photos in, and I really just colored that to make it clear to you all. I usually just don't even color them in, I just leave them as a block, and you'll see why in a minute. And then I didn't block out photos for all the pages because we'd be at this for hours, and once you do it over and over the same way. And we also have the template for my cover, and we'll fill that in as well. So let's get started. This part is pretty simple, pretty fun. You select what you want to fill in. So I'm going to fill this in with pattern paper here. And we click on fill, which is the palette here. We've been coloring things with color, but this time, see these dots up here? That's going to fill with pattern. So you click on that. Now this is annoying. Talked to Silhouette about it for years. They have some built-in patterns. You have to go all the way through them to get down to your patterns. So let's put some pattern paper in here. I'm going to put, let's zoom in on that. Oh yeah, those are my seahorses. And you'll notice that it filled in sideways, and it's because of the way I loaded the paper. But that's okay, because I'm going to put it in the machine and cut this the way I wanted to cut, the way I want to cut them. So I try, when I fill things in, I'm really just looking for a pattern, and I want to get a general feel. If that bothers you and you want your horses facing the right way, you can click on Advanced Options and you can rotate this pattern. Now I have my seahorses going up and down. Okay? And to upload this paper, I actually took pictures of the paper on my iPhone and loaded them up. So there they are. Then let's fill in this part over here. I'm going to fill that in with, I have no idea. What does this look like? Yeah, let's give the eye a place to rest there. And here, I'm going to put blue stripes. And again, I can choose which way I want to cut my stripes. And I'm going to cut them that way. And let me show you what I do with my photograph. Okay, I bring my photographs in, and when I bring it in, it's going to come in huge. Oh, that was me goofing around on a float. All right, well, sorry you have to see that. But here's how I do my photographs. I bring them in, and they come in really big because I have them on like 300 DPI. And I shrink it down to about the general size I need. Okay? And let's put me on a float in this square here. Okay? So I'm going to bring this square up. Let's go into my color here. And see this slider? I want to make it largely transparent. Okay, and I'm going to hover that over the picture. And you'll notice I get the block, but I can't see it. That's because it's in the back. Remember that little problem? So let's just bring it to the front. And I don't like the way the red looks, so let's fill it in with white. Make it a little less transparent. All right, now that's the finished size I want this to be for my album. So now I can take this photograph and I can just continue to size it down until I get it in the photo the way I want it. Okay, let's zoom in. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to select both of those items, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to crop it. Now that photograph is exactly 3 inches by 3 inches. I was able to get the picture in the way I wanted to do it. Let's zoom back out and let's drop that picture in there. Okay? And now that I see that photograph in there, I want to change this paper to, whoops, let's change that paper to the pink stripes. I want to pick up the pink that's in that, which then means I want to change this to, oh, I don't know, what's this thing? Oh, that's my horses. I don't want my horses. Oh, let's pick up the blue. I like the blue. And again, I should have turned these pictures sideways before I loaded them in, but that's okay. I'll just rotate them this way because that's how I'm going to cut it when I cut on the machine. Oh, I like that much better. That picks up the pictures better. Now, I'll do a picture one more time so you can see what I do. Let's bring in, yeah. Okay, we're going to bring in this picture. This is my mom. She was a good sport playing volleyball with us. All right, we're going to rotate this around. Shrink it down so it's a little more manageable. And again, we're going to bring this block up. Let's fill it in with white, and we want to make it kind of transparent. I'm going to bring it up here. It's going to go behind. We'll bring it to the front. Okay, now let's bring my picture down. Okay, this is not a great picture because I need it to be a square, but obviously I'd move my pictures around, but since we're just playing with this for now and it doesn't have to be perfect, I just don't want to cut my mom's head off. That would be bad. So let's do that. Grab both of them and crop it. All right, there's my mom playing volleyball. And obviously, I mean, I often take my pictures into Photoshop, I clean them up, I do other things, but that's all right. I just designed a page in my album. How cool is that? Pretty nice and quick, huh? Let's do, you guys want to do one more photograph? Are you bored with that yet? We'll do one more. Okay, you bring it in. It is massively huge. We were laughing at the alligator sign. So, one more time. You bring the picture in. This is the size of photograph I want. Like I said, I don't normally color them in red, so we'll change them to white. Make it transparent. Bring my picture in. Way small. Now, since I have the picture selected, we'll put it to the back. That'll bring my rectangle, which is my finished size for this photograph. And I wanted to get the sign in, so we'll do that. That looks pretty good. And I'll come in here and I'll crop it. And we'll bring that picture down and put it in our album. Okay. And then we're going to fill this with pattern paper. So again, you come into the pattern and you say let's look at this. Okay, now this is kind of interesting. Let's start up here and let's fill that with some coral for now. I like those colors with that photograph. Now, let's see what we have here. Do you see what we have here? We have the paper that is a strip. And I want to pick up a specific strip to put along there. Let's say that's what I want to do. Okay? How am I going to do that? Because I'm not going to be able to cut that exactly on my machine. Let me show you how you're going to do that. You're going to come in here and you're going to draw a square that is 12 by 12. Okay, because that's the size of the photograph I brought in. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to click Library, double click. Ooh, all right. We aren't going to do it that way. Let's do it a different way. Oh, there it is. Okay, so it filled exactly the 12 by 12 paper size. Okay. Another way you could do that, if you wanted to, was, well, I kind of did it an old-fashioned way, so let's do this a different way. The other way you can do it is you could take your blank. You could take a 12 by 12 blank. Again, go into your fill pattern, come down here and pick that sheet of paper. And it's going to fill it this exact same way. So you can either double click in the library or do this. All right. Now what that allows me to do is these are the stripes in the actual paper. And that's the actual size that they're going to be. Okay, let me show you what this does. Okay, unfortunately, Silhouette will resize. Let me draw you another 12 by 12 square here. Now I'll show you what I'm talking about because it's probably clear as mud right now. Okay, let's take, whoops. Let's create another 12 by 12 inch square. And where is it going? And what is it doing? Oh my. All right. So there's my 12 by 12 square. And let's fill it with my horseshoe, or my, well, that's not it. There's my little guys. Okay. And we'll rotate it because I have everything 90 degrees because I'm an idiot, but that's all right. Now you'll notice that when it copied or filled this, it proportionally filled my pattern. When it cuts out of my paper, I'm not really going to get this many rows. It's not going to be that busy. I don't really care because the machine's going to cut it out. I just wanted to kind of get a color story and make sure that I liked the flow. Like I knew I wanted to change this to pink. I wanted to pick up more of the blue on this page. And so all of that flowed really well. If it was important to me that I get this exactly sized because I visually need to see it, you can select on that square and you can scale it up and down. And you can get it closer to the size it's really going to look like on the project. I don't really care. I just wanted to make sure that I got the pattern. Let me show you again. See my fish scale here? It doesn't really matter to me. I wanted to pick up the color story. But you'll notice if I fill it with the fish scale paper, see how much bigger those scales really are? If I want it to be exact, all right, I can come in here and I can scale it to get me closer to what I'm really going to have. Or you can do just like what I did in the photograph. You can take a 12 by 12 square. You can take this shape. You can overlay it onto the paper. And let's say I'm going to cut it out of this corner. You can select both of those. You can crop it. And now I have this square matching exactly what it's going to look like cut out of that paper. Most of the time, I don't care that it's going to be smaller because I'm not looking at the scale, I'm looking at the color. However, when you're cutting a stripe like this, you do care about the scale because perhaps I want to pick these words up or I want to pick up just this row. Okay? And I really want it to read this way. So let's change this to, see how nice it is to play with these papers? Let's change the coral to down below, okay? And now we're going to take this square and let's copy it. And I'm going to cut it out of this paper. And what I want, let's go back to color. Let's make it white. Let's make it kind of transparent. And I'm going to want it to pick up the center of this. In fact, I'm going to be really particular, and I want it to pick up exactly those two seahorses with that in the middle with both of those shells. So we're going to take that piece of paper and that square, we're going to select it, we're going to crop, and now I get that part of my pattern paper exactly how I want it. Okay? Pretty cool, huh? Now, how do I know that that's exactly how it's going to cut? Well, you have two choices. You can choose to bring it on your cutting, instead of cutting it with the machine, you could cut it by hand. And if you click on this, it'll give you the exact dimensions you have to cut, which would be 1.5 by 5 3/8. Or you can use the PicScan mat. And I might do a class on that down the road, we'll see. But if not, there's tons of YouTube videos. And what the PicScan mat allows you to do is to take your existing paper, you bring that paper in, you set it on your PicScan mat, you take a picture with it, bring it into the software, and then it allows you, like we just did with this rectangle, you take your shape, put it on top, you get to put it exactly where you want it on that piece of paper, and it'll cut it out exactly. So that is two different ways to fill it. You can just click and fill, like I did here, or you can take the shapes and cut them out of a 12 by 12 square. If you're going to cut them out of a 12 by 12 square, I'll show you what I really do. If I want things to look exact, in fact, I'll come in and do that in a separate video because this one's getting pretty long. That's all right, I'll show you. I'll go real quick. What I will do is I will take a 12 by 12 square and I'll make several of them off to the side here. Okay? So I'll copy a few along here. And then I will take each one, and if I have 10 papers in the collection, I'll do 10. And I will fill them in with each of the papers I want to use. Okay? So I would actually fill them in with all of my papers, but we'll just do 4 for now. Okay. Then what I will do is, and of course all of them are rotated the wrong way, so let's just rotate them real quick so they actually match, whoops, what my papers really look like. Otherwise my mermaids are swimming the wrong way. That is what they look like in the paper pad. And then what I will do is, if I want to make this the mermaid paper, it's a little more tedious. I'll do a copy on top, bring it in here, and then I'll take the paper and I'll copy on top, put it in the back, and then crop. And the reason that I do a copy is then when I crop, I still have that sheet of paper to work with later. Okay? And then you can drop that right into place. It's a little more tedious, but you'll get everything exactly how you want it. Okay? And otherwise, we just go along. Whoops. We just go along and we just keep filling in our papers. I think it'd be really nice with that pink if I brought in, let's bring in some snazzy stuff. I'm going to bring in my gold stripes. And I really want my stripes to go this way. That's how I'm going to design this. And you'll notice, let me zoom in. On my gold stripe paper, I have some weird discoloration here. The reason I have it, in fact, I'll show you a whole square of it. On these foil papers, that's my overhead light from photographing. I could put it in a shadow box and take care of that. But again, I don't really care because I'm not printing this paper. This paper is simply to let me choose. Maybe I think that gold's too bold, so I'll put my horseshoes back there instead. When I get to this pocket, I may actually want to do, let's do this. Let's take this and let's fill it with this sheet of paper. Here is all of my cards. So that's a sheet of cut-aparts. But on this flap, let's bring that piece up. Let's make it transparent. Let's see what I can do with a card. I don't think this is the right size. It is not. So let's see what else I have. You just kind of have to play. And sometimes I find it's good to have my all of my papers up here. What happens though is if you've got 20 or 30 different papers, you can really bog the file down and it'll eventually lock up Silhouette. So I'll show you what I did with cards at the end. So I just come in here and I'm gonna fill, you just keep filling things. Let's fill this pocket with this pattern. And we will put, there's a lot of stripes in this collection. Let's put the gold behind there. I'm not sure I really like that, but there's my gold anchors. There's my seashells. Hate the gold anchors. So let's put, we can do the blue horseshoe seahorses. Again, I can worry about changing them. I can scale it if I want. I can make it smaller. It's not going to print that way because I'm using standard cardstock or already printed paper, but that gets me closer to what it's really going to look like. The scale on this is really more like that. So I'd have to decide if I like that or not. In fact, I don't really, so let's take this. Let's make that truer to scale, and let's put my horse there. That's better. We'll put my seahorses down there. And I got my seahorses upside down, so let's turn them around. Okay? So that's how you just keep playing with it. Now, if you want to know what this pan is, let me show you what that is. Pan, well, it's not going to work so well on that one. Let's pan this. If you pan on it, whoops, you'll notice you get this little dot in the middle, and if you hold on to it, it lets you kind of move around on the paper. So if you were wanting to pick up a specific part of the paper, you could do that. On most of these patterns, that doesn't really matter, but I'll show you where it might matter. Let's fill this with this pattern, okay? And we have to rotate it. Okay, every day is a new adventure. That's actually centered pretty well, but let's say, okay, let's come down here. I'll just fill that with stripes. Let me come, let's come down here. Let's take this and fill it with every day is a new adventure. You know, you'll notice it's a 12 by 12 sheet. So you'll notice how much it downsized it. Okay, and that's going to cause me a problem with this pocket. So let's create a 12 by 12 box. Honestly, I usually make one and just copy it all over the place, but we'll do a 12 by 12 box. And let's fill it with that pattern. I'll show you what I want to do, okay? There's my pattern. And we got to rotate this thing 90 degrees. All right, what I'm wanting to pick up is I'm wanting an arch of, I want to pick up just that arch. Let's see if we can do that. We're going to bring this shape and let's make it, again, white and transparent. Can I pick up? I pretty much can. Maybe I just would rather have a row of shells. I'll get a little bit of the words, but not bad. Yeah, let's do that. I don't know that I'd actually do it in an album, but it'll show you what I want to do. If I want to keep that paper to play with later, watch, you can really go all out. You can take the whole thing and copy it in the front. And then if you copy both things, and then you go and you crop it. Now, when you go to work with that piece of paper again, you know you've already used that part, okay? So you can create all your squares and you'll know what you cut out if you only have one sheet of it. Yeah, that's kind of a cool way to use that paper. And then I would use my scan and cut mat to be able to cut that out exactly where I have it. Or if you're good, you can place it on your mat and you can get pretty close. And let's fill the back of this. This will be my last fill. We will fill this with not liking that. I keep going back to those guys, don't I? Yeah, let's put some more blue shells. So I got shells on top of shells happening on this one. So that is how I design my whole album. All right. One last thing. Well, I'll stop it there. That's one video. And then we'll look at my design once it's completed and I'll walk you through some of those details. All right. I'll see you in video 12.